actual Cold War, there was a lot of cooperation between the American space program and the Russian space program, because there was a link-up between the Apollo craft and the Soyuz. And it seemed very strange to me when I was a boy at school that we were meant to be in this Cold War with Russia, and yet behind the scenes there had been a lot of cooperation on space technology. The actual docking system between the Soyuz craft and the Apollo craft had been developed with cooperation between American and Russian scientists. And when you read Anthony Sutton's book, National Suicide, it seems pretty obvious that in the public view there was a Cold War between the Kremlin and between the White House, but on a higher technical level there was a lot of cooperation behind the scenes. Is that something that you came across during your time?
I was talking about this with astronauts, and it so happened. And I was also a few times in the center of space communication, military space communication and civil, talking with the specialists about this particular thing. And I met a little bit different point of view. On one hand, it's understandable that on a top, on the peak, I would say, of our interest in technologies like space programs, we need to have this kind of a communication.
Yes.
And for sure it doesn't matter who we are, Americans, Japanese or Russians. If we are beyond the border, we should somehow, first of all, communicate with each other in case of any kind of a help. And that what is most important, that beyond this order, we start to feel ourselves, it doesn't matter, Americans and Russians, like one family. It's very clear. Because there is nobody except you and me. So it doesn't matter that you are living here or I'm in Russia. We are acting as one family. That's the first thing. It's always have been like this. But at the same time, I heard kind of words of, not a shame, it's kind of a sorry maybe, that especially last years, when American specialists are coming to Звездный городок, it means the городок where the place where all astronauts are meeting together and they're learning, they're preparing for flight. Americans mostly are coming, learning, taking off knowledge and technology, and giving nothing back, even spiritually, giving nothing back. Just on one hand, forgetting this help, on the other hand, using all the results actually against Russia. And this is a pity. This is a pity. Because most important technologies, which now are very used in us, they have been received from Russians. We did it openly, just openly. We understand that this is life on the one. It doesn't matter who you are, Americans, Dutch, or Russians. It's life. So, and people there, you are on peak of danger. So we share technology, and all that technology have been taken away without any response. And you know, we had to destroy our Mir station, but Mir station could fly longer, much longer. But Americans managed so that we had to lose it. And we have a kind of a pain here. We have it. And I'm so sorry that between our relationships, between us, now we have a third subject, this pain here. I hope that we will arrange it somehow, and these relationships, these technical relationships for benefit of humanity will be growing up. But I'm afraid, really afraid, that the real situation is going on a little bit opposite. First of all, I'd like to point out that yes, we have some, not thousands, some cases when Russian astronauts watched objects.
Yes.
Very, maybe few, not so far from the space station. Mostly over the Earth, very close to the Earth. But it doesn't matter. From outer space, you can see it as if it's very, very close to you. And I talked to Musa Manarov, and I talked to Gennady Strikalov and the other astronauts. And they told me that they have seen much more cases of UFOs, but without possibility to film it, because he said, it's always like with Russians. When you see something, whether this camera is without battery or with battery lying at the other end of a spacecraft, or, as Musa once told me, I see strange, interesting object, but at the same time a spacecraft is coming to me and I need to dock it, and I can't leave the place and film it. But in reality, I wouldn't say thousands or hundreds. There were cases,
Yes.
but little bit.
Do you think that there's a good possibility that this so-called installation is really the product of an extraterrestrial intelligence?
I'm sure about that. I'm sure, because how this installation, I would say, behave, or what kind of technology is used to interrupt the meteorite, we cannot do it. It's impossible, because all that facts that we are now analyzing, that have been gathered scientifically for the last 70 years, are showing us, first of all, that there is something behind, something absolutely unusual, which we hardly can describe with the help of a present science approach. Second, this is so unusual thing that even me now working with these documents, with these facts, it's not so easy to accept this reality. That actually, try to understand that actually for many thousands of years in Russia, very close to us, we have a huge installation under the ground. For any scientists who claimed many years that there is nothing in outer space, we are just alone in the whole universe, to accept that this reality that we have been talking about outer space and they didn't see the reality of a presence behind your shoulder, but it is like this. This is the reason why when we started to publish materials in Nexus magazine, for example, in the West, in Russia, I myself decided to represent all the facts as they are, without any interpretation. I just made one claim. I said, probably, according to ancient Yakutian epos, which is called Alanho, and it is more than 4,000 years old, we have something technically strange, technical activity in the huge area which is not inhabited at all. No people are living there. It's 100,000 square kilometers. Nobody there.
Siberia.
It's Siberian. Even animals do not go there. And it's strange. It is really strange. There are many interesting facts which made me and my partners at least to take it serious. And then when we took all these documents and started to just simply read what eyewitnesses, more than 3,000 eyewitnesses from different places, different villages and areas of Siberia, when they described one and the same thing, with very interesting details, you cannot take it not serious. You should take it seriously.
So what the installation is really doing is it's actually a planetary protection system.
Yes. This is first of all planetary protection system.